Job Festival 2023 organized by Panelist Media, and this year theme is Taking Humanity Forward. So today we all are present here to celebrate for the love for the literature and discuss the pivotal subject matters which are prevailing in our society and establish engaging conversation with your favorite author and with the audience. So we have very lovely guests today with us on our panel. We have three guests today. So first is Meeti Shroff Shah. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, how are you?
Doing great. And second, we have Rrashima Verma.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah. And last but not the least, Aashisha Chakraborty.
Hi, hope you're all well.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And we are immensely glad to have you, all of you, today for the PVLF 2023. And let's see, today we're going to have some amazing conversation with you. I hope that I will going to also join and also the audience would going to love it. So this year theme is taking humanity forward, and particular the theme for this session is storytelling. So under this special theme, we have topic murder or romance. Which story excites you the most? And as we all know, being an author, storytelling is something for writing and for reading. So I'm hoping that we're gonna love this session. So yeah. So let's just start with the introduction. First, we have author Meeti Shroff with us. So Meeti is an award-winning copywriter, content writer, and mother. When she's in busy writing ads that makes toothpaste sound like an aphrodisiac, Meeti can be found with a cup of ginger tea, gazing contently at the yellow bull mowers outside her window, and plotting the murder of perfectly innocent people. In 2016, Pan Macmillan India published her memoir, Do You Know Any Good Boys? A funny guide to the Indian arranged marriage based on an awkward arranged date she had with 40 different men before she met her husband. Very nice. And she lives with her daughter and husband. And recently, she has published her new book, Death of Kriti Kadakia, which is a part of Temple of Hill Mystery, which is published by Bloomsbury, India. So, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
And moving ahead, we have Rrashima Verma. So Rrashima Verma is a senior corporate professional and a member of the senior management team with a leading US-based business research and strategic consulting firm. She has spent close to for 20 years in the corporate world. She is a prolific columnist and novelist, as well as an award-winning speaker. And over the years, Rrashima's writing have been regularly published in several esteemed publications. Rrashima has also participated in moderated several prestigious book launches and discussion. Rrashima's first book, A Break in Love, represented by the India's premier literary agency, the Book Bakers, and published by one of the country's most well-known publishing house, Vishkarma Publication, which is a bestseller which has extensively featured in the media. And the second book is the Royal Scandal, a love story that has changed the power dynamic in British India. Rrashima currently lives in Gurugram with her family, and she's an ardent traveler and enjoys Latin and jazz music. Quite amazing profile, I must say.
Thank you, thank you. Very kind introduction. Thank you very much.
And last but not the least, we have a very interesting, lovely person with us, Aashisha Chakraborty. I'm hoping that I am spelling it right, your name.
Yeah. All good.
Yeah. Aashisha is a PM Yuva author and Right India winner whose debut novel, Miss Adventures of Sales Girl, which is published by Rupa Publication, is loosely based on her experiences as sales manager. Her second book is the work of historical fiction with the National Book Trust, tentatively titled The 13-Year Queen and Her Inherited Destiny. She has written for various Readomania anthologies and ebooks by Women Web and The Inside I Am. A compulsive reader and an avid traveler, she is an MBA from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi, and a computer engineer from Jamia Millia Islamia. She has also modeled for a German photographer and likes to blog on her online daily of sorts, The Mind Bin. So thank you so much, everyone. That was a quite lovely introduction.
Thank you so much.
So as you guys all know, today's session theme is storytelling. Today's session topic is murder or romance. Which story excites you the most? So I would like to start first with Aashisha Chakraborty. Since your book is somehow, we would say memoir or a little bit romance. So your book, how is your book, The Misadventures of a Sales Girl, different from other romance novels which are available in market? And just could you please enlighten us of what's your book all about to the audience?
So, thank you for the question, Jyotsna. You're right. Misadventures of a Sales Girl is not your general romance novel because I did not intend it to be one. I wanted to kind of chronicle the adventures and all the experiences that a new professional, somebody who joins their job for the first time, they have. And especially as a salesperson, because you don't find too many women in sales. But on the way, I mean, the book has been titled Misadventures because the girl, the protagonist, actually gets into a lot of scrapes, a lot of troubles, and finally somehow makes her weird way through everything else through her internship. So it's mostly talks about this MBA professional who takes up her first sales internship in Chennai, the language she does not know. And then, love blossoms in the most unexpected places and, between the most unexpected cultures. And that's how this book is not is not a definite romance, but you can't live without love. And if you're going to talk about, um, her experiences, she's somehow in that toxic or a difficult, highly charged environment. She finds someone or something to look forward to. In addition to that, there's another secret which she's not aware of, which is a family secret, which also has some overtones. So there are three subplots which could be love stories. I'm not going to tell you. So also, I wanted my first book to not be explicit, and that's how I wanted it to be very people should be able to read it. Teenagers should be able to read it. So yes, that's how it's different.
So I have this question that your entire book is fictional, or maybe a little bit like wholly a real life based events, or just a fictional book.
This is a work of fiction inspired by true sales events. So the sales experiences are definitely inspired by true events. The loved ones are not, and I hope nobody would take it that way. So, but yeah, I mean, strangely, they'll be more entertaining, which is what I would guess. This is like the love story of a sales girl amidst all her drama and humdrum of her daily existence.
All the emotion in one book.
Yeah, hope so.
Okay, thank you so much. So moving ahead, Rrashima Swaarup. So my question to you that your book, The Royal Scandal, offers a fresh take on the romance genre. How did you come up with the unique storyline of this book?
So again, thank you for the question. And sometimes I think the story chooses you rather than you choose the story. And I think this is exactly what happened in my case. My literary agent, Suhail Mathur of the Book Bakers, he brought the story to me. It's a true love story, and it's something that happened way back in the 18th century. Now, he was watching a documentary film on the 10 greatest love stories, 10 greatest Indian love stories, and this was one of them. And it was such a fascinating story and so intriguing. I think it just caught him right away. And he has an eye for good stories. So he knew that this one can be made into a wonderful book. And he came to me and he spoke to me about it. And after we discussed it, I did a little bit of research. And I was intrigued from, right from the beginning. I knew that this is something that it was such an utterly romantic tale of love, and it had a bit of war, it has elements of politics. So that entire cocktail was so heady, I just had to write it. And very honestly, I think I always say this, whatever I may have written in the past, whatever I may write in the future, the royal scandal will always have a very integral part of my heart. Of course, it's a true love story, but the fact that it happened all those centuries back, and it's such an important part of Indian history, because this is one story which literally changed the dynamics of one kingdom. one Indian kingdom back in that time. So I think that is what makes it special, and I enjoyed writing it thoroughly. I hope that people enjoy reading it as much as I enjoyed writing it. So that's how it happened.
You have also written a book, Break in Love, right? So
Yeah.
could you please share something about A Break in Love?
Yeah, A Break in Love is a contemporary love story. It's about modern relationships and it's about Generation Y, and some elements of Generation Z also would connect with the love story there. So yeah, it's a very different story from this one. This is a complete fiction, even though a lot of my readers and reviewers did get back to me asking me whether the protagonist was me, the female protagonist, and whether the male protagonist was my husband. Well, all I can say is that because it's a very realistic love story, and because a lot of the inspiration for this story has come from real life, and not just my own real life, but from observing people, today in modern relationships. When we observe them and we see the kind of dynamics and the challenges that they go through, so much of that has been put into this story. I think it's not just my story. It could be your story. It could be anyone's story. So there are elements of real life in this book, and which is why people connected with it. So it's a contemporary fictional love story. Yeah.
Quite amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next, we have Mr. Meeti ma'am, Meeti Shah. So could you please tell us about your book, The Death of Kriti Kadakia?
So the death of Kirti Kadakia, like you said, is a murder mystery. This is what it looks like. It's set in this very privileged neighborhood in Mumbai called Temple Hill. And this is a place, what I like to say about Temple Hill is that here there's nothing more tragic than the loss of face, not even loss of life. So this is a place where appearances are everything. So it's privileged, it's extremely close knit, it's very conservative. And in this neighborhood, my protagonist Radhika Zaveri returns home from New York after a decade in New York, and she's struggling with a broken heart, and she's also struggling with a writer's block. So she's come home to Temple Hill to heal. And she hopes that, surrounded by her family and friends, she'll find inspiration, she'll find salve for her broken heart. But what she finds instead is a terrible tragedy. Her best friend's father, Kirti Kadakya, has just committed suicide. Now, this is a person whom Radhi has known since she was a child. So she knows this family so well, and she knows this person so well, and both Sanjana and Radhi can't accept that this sort of a tough, stubborn old man would actually commit suicide. So they start asking questions, and the more questions that Radhi asks, she finds that Kadakya's own large, it's a large Gujarati family. Like, think of it as a huge joint Gujarati family, and everybody seems to have their own agendas and their own secrets. So the more questions that Radhi asks, she finds that everything is not as it seems. That everybody seems to be hiding something. So and later we discover if it was really a suicide or not. And I think the main thing this book explores is the cost that people have to pay for keeping up appearances in a privileged society like this.
Okay. Thank you so much. So since I have shared the session topic with you, that which story excited the most? So resonating with our session topic, which story excited you the most, murder or romance? So Meeti ma'am.
I think as a reader, I read widely across genres, and I think mainly as a reader, I find myself reacting to the human truth in any story. So, for instance, two of my favorite books this year. One was called Why the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and one was called Sweet Pleasures by Claire Chambers. Now, both of them are mysteries. They both have a mystery at their heart, but they're also deep love stories. So they explore human relationships, and they explore romance and human motives, and they're also mysteries. So just any story that's told with some sort of human truth in it, I think that's what appeals to me more.
Okay. So moving ahead, Aashisha, what do you like the most? Which story excited you the most, a murder or romance?
Meeti has very nicely evaded it, saying, she enjoys the human truth. And that's actually true. We all look for that special element in a story. I personally would be very frank. I think I would always go for romance. But let me give you a little bit of a. This is a rider. My favorite book of all time, romance book of all time, has been Gone with the Wind and Pride and Prejudice books, sorry, and The Time Traveler's Wife. Now, The Time Traveler's Wife is actually romance and sci-fi both. So I think, as you said, every story has a unique feel to it. But then love is eternal and universal. And as Rrashima also said, that, history and romance. So you have all these elements together and they make a story. But if you had to put me on the spot and make me choose, I would, of course, choose love. I mean, no questions asked. However, as I said, it's all about the plot.
Aashisha, I must add here, my favorite book is also The Pride and Prejudice by Author and The Time Travelers.
And make that 3. Yeah, make that 3.
Mr. Darcy any day.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. Yeah. So, Rashmi ma'am, what's your favorite story? The murder romance.
As they say, you've heard of crimes of passion, right? I think a lot of murders, a lot of crimes per se are motivated by love and romance and passion. So when you look at it like that, I think a combination of the two is always very intriguing. I love reading thrillers. And there's always a love story. You'll see, I think every book, every genre, and just like Meeti, I tend to read across genres. I love books in the romance genre, obviously. I mean, they are my favorite, my undisputed favorite. And within romance, again, I love light-hearted romances, with a bit of humor thrown in. I really enjoy historical romances. I also enjoy thrillers or murder mysteries where there's a romance factor or a romance element. So I think romance is one of the most flexible genres in that it combines really well with everything. And from that point of view, I think, which is why, when you're a romance writer, you can be very versatile because you never have to really leave your true love, which is love stories. So even if you're writing, like I wrote a contemporary, my first book was contemporary romance. The second one was a non-fiction historical romance. For all you know, the third one could well be a murder mystery and a romance thrown in for good measure. So I think I love reading across genres, and romance combines well with everything.
Okay. Thank you. So it's too much romance right now, and Aashisha is very quite into about the romance. So my next question to Aashisha, that in your opinion, what elements should a romance novel have? So what are the components that we need to include in the romance novel?
I think it should have some very strong backstory, because otherwise, people see each other and they fall in love. I mean, seriously, love at first sight, I don't believe in that. So it has to have a very strong backstory. The development has to be believable, according to me. If you talk about ingredients per se, strong character development. So again, the backstory becomes a part of that. You develop the character strongly, and that's how you understand. Okay, this is where the character comes from. That's why he or she is behaving in such a manner. Another ingredient I feel would be how fluid is it. What are the interests and passions of the particular characters? Where are they moving together in the future? Which timeline is it going towards? Is it in the past? Is it in the future? Is it like all together? So is it a one-day romance, or is it like in Time Traveler's Wife, it's all through her life and everything? So that is important. The third ingredient I feel would be to, it's important to get the plot together, and it should be very well knitted. So it shouldn't seem as if it's all romance, because it becomes too sugary then. So what other things are causing them? So usually there's some roadblock or something that causes them to think twice. Everything does not fall into place altogether. So that roadblock or that particular antagonist, if you may say so, or something else, basically, whatever that is. Even if there's no particular antagonist, there must be something that's not working out, which they eventually, I think in every love story, even in true love stories, people have challenges. Even, I mean, even two people in even a couple would have certain challenges even without a third person. So I think the portrayal of those challenges contribute to a good romance, because again, romance is also a kind of drama. There's a whole story thrown in, something or the other happens. So those, I think, would be good um, elements of a particular romance. However, I think most importantly it is the fluidity and how you're able to hold the reader, whether the reader is invested in the character, whether the reader is rooting for the character or not. So I don't know how these elements come together to actually make this happen, but at the end result should be that the reader should be rooting for the characters. So that's what I would say.
I absolutely agree with you that we need some challenges and a key element to make the story very interesting. So being a reader, if we don't get the happily after ever ending in any romance novel, we feel crestfallen. So what, according to you, what's your romance novel ending should be like, happily after ever, or that they are leaving each other in the end of the story?
So again, I don't believe in happy endings or sad endings, because, of course, at one point of time as a teenager, I was always rooting for happy endings. But when I wrote my first book, mine does not have a happy ending. It has an ambiguous ending. So this one will not give you a happy ending. Let me just put it out there. If you're looking for a happy ending, this is not there. But then it's ambiguous. It's realistic, is what I would say. There's always a possibility. The story never really ends. There's always a possibility for something more to happen. So I feel that going by the tone of the book, it should move as per the character's development.
Mhm.
For instance, a certain character, for example, if I in the real life, if somebody asks me, okay, would you move just because I'm moving? Would you move with me to another country? I wouldn't, or would you just stop here? Just it depends on who the person is. So if you've developed your character in such a way that they behave in a certain way, so you can't suddenly spring a happy ending or you can't suddenly spring a sad ending. It has to go with the tone of the character. This is what I believe in. So it's not about the endings, it's about the reader should feel that yes, it's real, it could happen. It shouldn't be that it's made up or something just to force into the plot. This is what I would say.
Okay, thank you so much. So moving ahead, Rashima ma'am. Okay, so yeah, what's your take on this? That what key elements that we need to inculcate in a romance story to make it more impactful?
So, for me, I think two of the biggest elements, particularly when it comes to romance, of course, even in other genres, they're important. But particularly in romance, I think are the characters and the settings. And of course, the plot, there has to be a central love story, two people who are either falling in love or are already in love or falling out of love, but there has to be love somewhere. So a central love story is very important. But I think the characters and the settings. Now, when I say settings, I mean, for me, it really ups the quotient of a romance book if the settings are well described and settings that I feel are, maybe transporting me into this idyllic world, which is why I love Nicholas Sparks and his books. And those are pure, mushy, hardcore romance, right? I mean, he doesn't believe in mincing words. He says it like it is. If he believes in love, he will put it out there. So if you see his books and you read the kind of descriptions that he's given, and they're all usually set in one part of the southern United States, because that's where he's from. But he describes them so beautifully that you feel as if you've been transported, back to that place. And of course, the characters, like Aashisha also said, I think the reader needs to be emotionally connected or emotionally invested. So the characters should be able to inspire emotions. Now, whether you feel, empathy, or you feel some sort of a connect that this could be me, which is what happened with my first book, where a lot of readers felt very connected to Lisa and Karan, who were the protagonists. They felt, this is like a slice of my life. So I think the characters are very important. And of course, I feel the ending. Now, I also don't believe in happy endings all the time, even though I'm openly saying and I'm admitting that I love Nicholas Sparks. Now, he usually has happy endings, but I think Aashisha was very right when she said that, at the end of the day, you want to feel that this is realistic. Then again, when I pick up a romance book, I do hope for a happy ending. Now, just like her book, this one doesn't have a happy ending. All right. And a lot of people ask me, oh, why did you do this? I said, well, I didn't do this. This is what happened. This is a true love story. And if that was the end, then I had to, my research told me what happened. And that is how I put it down for my readers to read. But I think it's a book that's very high on the emotional quotient. And that is my biggest expectation from a romance book, whether it is a true love story or a fictional love story. It needs to be very high on the emotional quotient. I should be able to feel for the characters. I should laugh with them and I should weep with them. So yeah, for me, those are the important elements that I can't do without.
That's great. So my next question to a person who really loves mystery. So Meeti ma'am. So why do you think that people enjoy reading murder mysteries or thriller?
I can't speak for people, but why I like it is the what I think appeals to people is one, the puzzle, the there's in the heart of every mystery there's a little integral puzzle built into it, right? So I think a mystery, the genre lends itself to a lot of involvement from the reader, because it gives the reader a chance to pit their intelligence against that of the author, to see if they can kind of solve the mystery along with the detective. So, the little clues that are dropped along the way, and the way the puzzle is solved. So that's like, for people who like solving puzzles, that's one big draw for a mystery. Also, I think a lot of people, also the other thing a mystery does is that it allows you to live in to enter these dangerous situations, and but without really risking anything yourself, right? Like, because you are in this high stakes environment. There's murder and blood and a lot of risk involved, but you're in the comfort of your armchair. So it allows you to experience that thrill, which most normal people, like most people, may fall in love, but may or may, I hope that most people are not involved in a murder. So I think that it allows them to experience that sort of thrill while reading. So that's another reason people uh, love mysteries. I think there's a third reason also. I think with unlike love stories, like how Aashisha and Rrashima both spoke about how there may or may not be a happy ending. For most mysteries, especially the genre I'm writing, which is cozy crime, the mystery you do find the detective must find the killer, and it is nicely and neatly wrapped up. So there is a sense of the moral order being righted, like there's a sense of good over evil, which most mysteries need to do that for the reader, and for the reader to feel okay, there's good in the world. So that's another thing that mystery readers supposedly react to.
I was about to ask the essential components that a mystery novel should have, but I feel like you have covered most of the things. But if you have anything to add to it, you can share it with the audience.
I think plot is very essential for a mystery. I'm sure for other genres also, but because how other writers may or may not plot, like they can write as pantsers, where they're writing on the go. With mysteries, I find that you need to sort of, where your red herrings are dropped, where your cliffhangers are dropped, where the little clues are hidden. All of that needs to be thought through so much in the beginning, so that when you reach the end, there is an aha moment that the reader experiences, and the reader feels satisfied that, oh yes, those clues were given to me, and yes, I was misled, but whatever conclusion the author has finally come to, that makes perfect sense. So the plotting, to the different suspects having different motives. All of that needs to be really thought through in a mystery. In fact, I have more to say, but
I have a question for Meeti.
please.
I have a question. I'm very curious because she's a mystery writer herself. What she told us about was her favorite romance authors. Who are your favorite, or which is your favorite romance author, or which is your favorite, your favorite mystery author, or your favorite mystery book? So tell us about that for a moment. I'm very curious to know.
So, of course, I love Agatha Christie and the usual suspects, Dorothy L. Sayers, all of them. But I'm currently very much into Louise Penny. She writes from this little Quebecois village in Canada called, and it's a fictional place called Three Pines. And in fact, I was going to tell. I was going to just talk about the world building. Her world building is fantastic. Like, the way she describes the food, and I'm a vegetarian, and but she talks about the falling snow and the crackling fire and the bacon sandwiches that come on the table. And I'm Jain, okay? I'm like that, as veg as you can get, and I find myself salivating over those bacon sandwiches because of the way she describes the world. So she's one of my favorite mystery writers currently. Other than that, there are so many: Anthony Horowitz, Sujata Mase. There's like a long list, but yes.
Okay. So we have discussed mystery, we have discussed, romance, and I'm happy that we are having this session, combining the two genres. So my next question to Aashisha, that how do you think that today's generation perceives love or romance? Has the definition of love evolved with the time? Your personal experience you can share.
I think, yes, it definitely has evolved over time. And when you mentioned about the first book, I think that Meeti has written, which was all about arranged marriages, I did think that today, if I were to write such a book, or maybe someone from, someone else would, younger than me would be writing such a book, maybe they would say that, my dating experiences, my Bumble experiences, the whole scene has definitely changed, that's for sure. However, I feel that the essence has remained. So the essence will, of course, remain throughout the years. That, of course, can never change. But yes, the elements have changed. The way we approach, the kind of freedom that we experience, and also the kind of understanding that we also experience in a relationship, that has also undergone a change. I'm not sure if my the generations, like two generations up, my grandmothers and my mothers, or my fathers and my grandfathers, probably would not have thought about going ever to a couples counseling, or going or ever thought about giving each other enough space to be okay with a long distance permanent relationship, something which they can do with their changing careers. Today I find this far more like prevalent. I've seen this happening with my friends, I've seen this happening with myself. So yes, the whole structure around love has changed. We have been more open about it, we've been more understanding about it, and I think we've been more vocal about the physical aspects as well, about sex as well. There's been a lot of talk about open relationships, and although I've not read much in this respect, but I have explored a lot in the real sense that, so yes, the whole structure and the societal structure has undergone a huge change. But at the end of the day, who you look for is someone who's compatible with you, and who can fulfill your ideal definitions of, as I said, Mr. Darcy, or your that guy in who was that, West End and West Egg, forgotten the name, sorry. So these your favorite book boyfriends have remained, but the structure has undergone a change, and that's for sure. So the feelings remain. Yes.
Rrashima has mentioned the Nicholas Sparks, and you have mentioned the Mr. Darcy. It's like idyllic boyfriend or lover. So, because of the cliched romance book, our definition for the love has totally changed, and we are also looking forward to having a, idyllic love story. We want everything to be perfect and happy ending, and somehow of these books has also affected on our definition for the real love in this generation is, it has changed, and it also affect us in a very wrong way, because we expect something else and it turned out to be something else in this world, because of the, things has changed, and generation has changed, over a period of time. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Ashisha. So okay, moving ahead, Rrashima, so what's your take on this?
I consider myself Gen Y, and I think Aashisha here would be Gen Z. Now, what I feel is, see, my book on relationships, my first book, which was A Break in Love. Now, that book was on Generation Y marriages and the challenges that we faced when we were, say, into 5 years of our married life and then beyond. So, falling out of love and then falling back in love. I think the definition of love has completely changed. Now, I do feel that Generation Z is looking for more equal relationships. So that's a very good thing. That there is more, I think it's just taken for granted. It's not something that you have to necessarily struggle for or fight for. And I'm talking about urban relationships. But yes, Generation Z, I think, really got that right. So I think they've moved forward as far as the equality in relationships is concerned. I also feel that there's more diversity, which is very important. So their relationships are naturally multicultural, they're diverse, and they're more accepting of that diversity. It was something that we had to still fight for. But this generation, I think they have the carpet laid out for them as far as that's concerned. So they're welcome to those relationships. And I think it's a great step in the right direction. It's the need of the hour. So, yes. The third thing I think, and in that I agree with Aashisha, is that they're more open to professional help, to seeking professional help when things are going wrong. So they don't live in denial. That is definitely there. And they're more technology driven. So, obviously, whether it is dating, your dating apps. So looking for love through technology and also understanding love through technology. I think this is the fourth thing, the major thing that has changed. One thing I want to say, as Generation Y to Generation Z, I feel that they need to be more tolerant. I definitely feel that the tolerance levels have really gone down. So when we talk about compatibility, you can't have it all. Nothing is, I feel like telling some of the younger lot, nothing can ever be perfect. You don't choose your families after all. I'm sure we don't have perfect relationships with our parents or our siblings either. But here, because we have the option of choosing a partner, we look for that perfection. So try to rid yourself of that expectation and go for something, make a list of the must-haves and the can live without. So once you differentiate between that, you will know that you have a good relationship and you should maybe make a better effort to hold on to it. So that is something I think the newer generations, the younger generation needs to do. But otherwise, I feel the essence hasn't changed. So love will always be eternal. It will always be something that will go beyond time, space, generations, gender, everything. So yeah, it's it's the elixir of life after all.
I in fact have a question for both the romance writers. Neither of you all mentioned in the whole thing about what has changed about love and relationships. And though Rrashima did touch upon it, is how much braver people are currently, or how much more no, I won't say reckless, but how much more easily they are ending things. So the divorce rates are much higher now, and people are not willing to put up with things.
Anything.
Yeah. Anything. I don't know. But I'm just saying people have become braver. Maybe it's coming from the fact that women are more independent financially. So, but I think that's one key thing that has changed when I look around me, that people are taking more risks in their relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. They're also delaying marriage, which is something that, I think to each his own. So, the age is going up. They're also delaying parenthood, some of them are. And then, of course, like I said, there's a lot of diversity and, they pretty much customize their relationships. You can have a live-in relationship. You can maybe not get married at all. not have children, you can adopt children, you can have, they're not even gender specific. So I think that is something that was definitely the need of the hour. We needed to move beyond those predetermined narratives that we were all growing up with. We needed alternative narratives, but whether it is a conventional relationship or a modern one, I think every relationship needs work, it needs understanding, and it needs a little bit of tolerance. So
Right. So since we talked a lot about love and murder, and Ashisha said that love is eternal, and you said that love is a flexible genre, and you said the murder mystery is something that it's really engaged people. So my next question: which genre do you think it's the most popular among today's generation? Murder, mystery, or romance. But they are, I feel like these things are like will always be there. It's like perennial, right? The modern romance. But still, I would like to ask, like, according to today's generation, the inclination towards is more on murder genre or romance genre. So, maybe, ma'am.
I think it's from what the research and the statistics say, and because I just read a very interesting article about this recently, is that while murder and mysteries are very big internationally, especially in the US and UK though has a lot of crime writing festivals, and crime writing is, in fact, mysteries are that genre is the highest sold genre in the UK. So that's a genre which is very popular there, but unfortunately, not that's not true of the Indian market today. I don't know why, but it's not true. I believe romance, mythology, and literary fiction are very popular in India. Or even if you look at the kind of awards that we have, like the writing awards, we just have literary and debut authors and literary authors. I mean, there is no, we don't have genre like awards for genre fiction. So that way, the market I feel is still very underpenetrated.
So, yeah, Ashisha, what's your take on this?
I think it's Meeti is correct. There's a lot of focus on, I don't know if it's foreign authors, whatever they write starts to sell more because people have that credibility quotient set on that. So that may be one of the reasons why this is not happening. Also, just adding one to this point about mystery writing, I used to be a huge mystery fan. I still am. All I mean is that Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes I grew up with, but I always felt that maybe I would have to be more intelligent than my reader to set up a mystery which they wouldn't be able to solve. So having all these IITians around me, I did not get into IIT, by the way. So I felt that, you know what, they will make do, they will understand what I'm trying to write. So I will not write that. So I kind of got scared of delving into this genre. So maybe that may be the reason why mystery and I don't know, these detective things are not picking up so well here. Or maybe I don't know. I just answered that question first because this is what I also felt. I wanted to get into this, but the moment I start writing, I'm like, maybe I wouldn't be able to get that whole Jeffrey Archer feel. Or but then definitely there's an adrenaline rush in murder which romance of course will not be able to give you. So romance is more of on the softer side with your mushy feelings, but again a high emotional quotient, as Rrashima said. So yes, according to me, I think today's generation rather looks for something that would stimulate them, be it romance, be it mystery. So anything that would stimulate their thinking and kind of make them, move away from your OTT. So be that you on Netflix or be that some other love story on whatever. So I think more than the genre, it's the intensity and the newness of this, which kind of newness of the topic, which kind of takes them by storm. So even if it's a mystery, which if it's a horror or even a mystery, which really, as I said, stimulates them or makes them think twice, like you said, the suicide thing, or probably some police officers huge busting or something like that, which they have heard or they have an interest in. I think that would get them more. Again, a romance which they've heard of, or maybe something which has like Jojo Moyes did, or like Colin Hoover is doing. So those kinds of things kind of pick up your antenna that I'm going to read this. So I don't know. I won't be able to answer whether mystery or romance. I think more stimulating reads get this generation's reading tastes, decide these generations' reading tastes.
Okay, so next but not the least, but Rashima ma'am, what's your take on this? Since your answer is quite, detailed manner, so yeah, I would love to hear from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there was a time not long back when people were looking for more practical stories. They were looking for practical endings, and they were looking for things that they could maybe look at or view as more realistic. But, when you look at life today, it has become so stressful, it has become so exhausting. I think people are looking, when they pick up a book, a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but I think a lot of people are looking to escape into a perfect world or an idyllic world. Some of them are, of course, looking for a light read. So I think a light-hearted book. So I think this is where romance really rules the roost. I think it really satisfies people. It gives them that feeling of being transported into a world which takes them away from their own stresses, and sometimes, of course, the adrenaline is what you need. So there are a lot of takers for that also. I am one. I love mysteries, I love thrillers, I love psychological thrillers also.
Mhm.
I can't write them, but I do enjoy reading them. So there are a lot of takers for that also. But romance is something I think which is so timeless, whether it's a Pride and Prejudice or it's a contemporary romance book. There's a feel good factor, and nobody can deny that. There's always a feel good factor of two people falling in love. And sometimes you want to be those people, sometimes you simply want to sit back, read about them, and, vicariously experience the magic and the beauty of a love story. So, from that point of view, I think romance will never die down. It's always going to be one of the most popular genres, if not the most popular one.
So I have this question that, art of storytelling is something that is shifted our lives nowadays. Like, storytelling is something in a corporate world or in normal, if you are teaching a children, storytelling is something that totally change our life. So I would like to know that Indian authors and Western authors, there is a difference, of authenticity, right? Some people think that the Western authors are more authentic, as compared to the Indian authors. But right now, Indian authors have took a plunge and totally, break this notion that we have created in our minds. So I would like to know, Ashisha, what's your take on this? That do you think that the Western authors are more authentic, or whatever Indian authors are doing right now? It's a like commendable job that they have, break this myth that the Western authors are more authentic. So yeah.
No, I vehemently disagree with the fact that Western authors are more authentic. I couldn't disagree more. I feel that it's totally up to the author, and it is independent of any country or nationality. I know a lot of one of my favorite authors is from Oslo. He's Jostein Gaarder, and he writes amazing philosophical fiction. And again, it's light and yet it's philosophical. Not sure how he manages it, but he's my favorite, and someday I would like to write like him. I don't think it's so, but I think there is definitely, you're right, Jyotsna, there's a mindset that Indian readers have, that probably that works better. I'm not sure why that exists. Probably because they have a better reach, better distribution. I don't know. Even Indian authors who are based in the States or in other countries kind of are revered more than the people who are here. It's weird, frankly. However, on the other hand, you would see that Commonwealth Foundation kind of um, picks out these Commonwealth country authors and writers specifically, and kind of tries to bring them to light. So other countries are doing that, and as readers, we have to spread this awareness amongst our readers that taste everything. You can't just make a decision on at face value. You can't judge a book by its cover. So you have to taste. You have to give the author at least 10 to 15 pages, or maybe 2 to 3 chapters before you decide, okay, this is not my kind of stuff. But the problem is that they're not willing to do that. Or maybe, I don't know, there's no visibility, or there's something missing. Some essential element is missing where the Indian authors are not able to connect with the readers directly. Maybe there's this whole Western mindset. At one point of time, everybody was looking west. They were moving to these idols there instead of I don't know really. I'm not sure. I'm also a new writer on the block. I wouldn't be able to tell very easily what's happening, but I do observe according to the sales of the publishers, maximum does actually come from the foreign authors. That's true. I'm not sure if that's a distribution problem or a visibility problem, or the readers in India have to be more eclectic or have to kind of believe that okay, everybody may not be writing chick lit. There are people who are writing good literary fiction. There are people who are writing good mysteries, good romances. So Jerry Pinto, by the way, vehemently stands up for Indian writing. I remember meeting him once at the Author Awards last year, and he was like, "Buy these children's books. These children's authors are doing so well." So I was happy with the kind of spirit that he has. But again, that has to like move across. That has to go across all the readers. So the readers have to be educated more. Probably that's what we need. We need more readers. I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, yeah, Meeti ma'am, what do you think in this context?
So, adding to what Aashisha said, in fact, my experience was that my book, when we first started pitching it out, uh, was sold in the UK much before it got picked up in India. So, the same mystery, the same plot, all of that the same. We obviously pitched it to the Indian publishers first. And while we were waiting to hear back, because they were taking time to revert, we pitched it to the UK publishers in the UK, and the UK publishers snapped it up. It was they were very excited to receive this pitch. Not only that, they were also this is a 3 book deal that I have with them. I mean, they were willing to that's the kind of confidence and faith that they showed in me to say that no, we're going to make this a 3 book series at the least. And after I heard back from them, and after that I've heard back from the Indian publishers, whereas when I approached the Indian ones earlier. So I think to add to what Aashisha was saying, I said if the UK publishers are giving the Indian authors a chance, as in the sense people are I found them more open, you know, to experimenting. I mean, I was a completely new writer in this genre, and for them to take such a bet, I thought that was heartening. So that's been my experience. In fact, even when so this book was in fact longlisted for a prestigious award in the UK for crime writing, and because of that, I found that it got media attention in India. So it took all of that to get noticed in India, with the bigger. So I don't know. I don't know if it's why this is happening, but this was what was my experience like.
And I feel that if Indian publishers start showing more, more their attention towards the Indian authors and Indian books, and I don't think so. We need to go to the some UK publisher or somewhere else if we provide the same thing in India, right? Yeah. So yeah, moving ahead, Rrashima ma'am, what's your take on this?
Well, there are two, I think, challenges that the Indian publishing industry, and at the end of the day, it is a commercial business. So we of course look at it as a very creative pursuit, but for the publisher, it's a commercial business. They're in it to make money, just like any business. I think India is a very cost sensitive market, and this pertains to pretty much everything. Now, I was talking to somebody recently, and he was telling me. So I asked him. I said, if you look at the larger context, is Kindle doing better than say, paperbacks? And he told me, he said, the problem with Kindle is in India, people think ye to free mein milna chahiye. This is something we shouldn't have to pay for a Kindle. So can you imagine, if that is the mindset, then we have a challenge ahead of us. And I think it's more cost driven. If you look at a romance book, we as romance writers, we have a word limit, a very strict word limit that we have to adhere to. If you look at Western authors, it's a lot more flexible because people are okay paying, so much more, say for a romance book in the West. So even if it's going into 400 pages, if the story demands 400 pages, it's okay to write it, and you can. In India, you can't. Even if the story needs it, you're going to have to edit it. pretty mercilessly edit your labor of love and bring it down to a required word limit, which you're told. So the problem is readers don't want to pay more than, so they say, oh, I'm not going to pay 400 rupees for a romance book, right? So that is the mindset. And the moment you have a mindset, you have a commercial problem here. And like Aashisha said, we need more readers. We desperately need people to, so you'll see people spending so much more on a movie which they'll only watch once in the theater, but a book that will they will be owning for life, and which will be, which should occupy pride of place, a beautiful book which should occupy pride of place in their bookshelf. They will not want to spend that money. So this is something. Having said that, I feel India is a huge market. Every big publisher internationally is represented in India, has a big representation here. We're a big market. We can't be ignored. And since I'm a corporate analyst, I'm just going to say, whatever business you're talking about, India can't be put on the side, and that includes publishing. So we have a bright future. I think we just need to encourage reading. And I think it starts at the school level. If we have to encourage the younger generation to read, so our children need to be taught that technology is important, you have to live with it, but reading is something that we need to inculcate that habit very early on. So that's the only way that we'll be able to bridge this gap.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. So thank you so much, Aashisha Chakraborty, Rrashima, Swaarup, Verma, and Meeti. Thank you so much for coming today and shared your beautiful thoughts and talked about so much about love genres and mystery thriller. And I feel like that I feel this platform is something doing a very great job, giving platform to the debut authors as well renowned authors to connect with the audience personally and sharing your views, out there. And I feel like that's how we're going to promote the reading and writing among readers and also with the audience. So
thank you for being a wonderful moderator. I think I really enjoyed answering all your questions, and I want to thank the organizers of PVLF. I want to thank my literary agency, the Book Bakers. I think it's wonderful to get together with like-minded people and discuss books anytime.
Thank you so much, Rashmi.